Oh wow. Do you guys like field trips? Raise your hand if you like field trips. We're gonna take a field trip in time to an earlier beginning. So guys, it's been a long time no see, and I promise you it wasn't intentional. I was still working hard and diligently on the BMW. We've got a lot of things going on, but in order for us to start and tell you where I'm at right now, we have to start from the beginning. And the beginning is when we had everything connected and we fired it up on the stock ECU. I know you guys remember that day. That day was truly a glorious, amazing day. And so much was accomplished through that. But we had to do some more work, guys. I wanted to try and drive it. Footage that you guys did not get a chance to see. So I'm going to show you guys what happened when I tried to drive it or tried to move it, and this is what happened. So guys, in the last video, you saw this turbo BMW fire up for the first time. Today though, we're going a little bit more ambitious. Today, we're going to try and get a first drive. This is a totally different car now. We got a turbo out the hood. We've got the front bash bar that was supplied by Watt Works. We've got the bigger wheels. We've got this whole thing, completely different car. First test drive. But before we do that, I'm gonna look everything over first. Coming up in this video. So guys, we have definitely run into an issue with the car. So here is the little super cheap fuel pressure, rising rate fuel pressure regulator. I have tried to lower this thing as low as I can. So right now, as you can see, it's at 20 pounds, okay? That's across the fuel rail. The issue is when you fire it up, it then jumps anywhere between 70 and 80, which is way too much, okay? It's way too much. Stock is what, 40? So, you know, thinking that you would add a pound of fuel per air, that's way off. You would think I'm running 40 freaking pounds. So I don't know how I can lower my fuel pressure anymore other than just knowing that the ECU just doesn't know how to handle bigger injectors, doesn't know how to handle this added airflow. So I'm gonna do some investigating and I'll see what I can come up with. Oh my God, that is really rich. Let's work on it a little bit, see if we can lean it out just a little bit. Boy, oh boy. As you can see from the lack of driving clips, I failed at getting the car running. I said it. I couldn't get the car running because of the stupid eBay fuel pressure regulator, the rising rate fuel pressure regulator. And it was dumping 80 pounds of fuel in at idle. Like, I could turn it down as low as I possibly could, but soon as it cranked up, whether I had the vacuum line on it or not, it was dumping 70 to 80 pounds of straight fuel in it. And it was dumping so much fuel in it that it was making the air like so rich, it was almost burning my eyes. So we tried to drive it, and that unfortunately didn't happen. That was a fail, didn't put that video out. But we had to go ahead and take the ECU out of the car and go ahead and wire up the microsquirt V3 that's in it right now. So I didn't even film that because, guys, honestly, I didn't even know where to begin. This was the first time for me doing this. I am not a wiring guru, so all of that stuff put together led to me not filming, not wanting to mislead anybody in any information. But I sat down and I took wiring diagrams and I studied and stayed up late and I just grinded, guys, just grinded, cross-examining wires, wire diagrams, where things are going, where things are grounded, and we finally got finished with the actual diagram. Finally done. Finally getting everything cross-referenced from AC to ignition. From there, we took the ECU out of the car, we broke it apart, we stripped it completely just to get the connector so that way it can connect into the harness and I don't have to splice into the harness. So press F to pay respects for the stock ECU that paid the ultimate price and laid its life down. And moving on, so guys, we finally got that thing wired and I used some Dow Corning silicone, some encapsulating silicone, and I encapsulated all of the female plugs because I tried to use solder, but I am terrible at soldering, and soldering pins to thin wires is even harder than it sounds. So begin with the pins that I bought for it. I'm not gonna solder them, I'm gonna use pins and then heat shrink it. So there we go. Obviously, guys, that didn't go well at all. So I used these female pins and I built the harness and I used that Dow Corning, might have been some 734 or something like that. Sealant, RTV sealant. This is some 734. It's clear, self-leveling, forms flexible, long-lasting seal, and it is good for making form-in-place gaskets, fibbage, filling minute cracks and crevices, sealing electrical equipment, encapsulating small components. And I did little cardboards around it, encapsulated it, and just poured all of that silicone down there and let it sit for a couple days, and it became rock solid. And I then had a harness. I had an actual harness that could be plugged into the car and into the ECU, and then we would be good to go. Now, guys, as you know, hindsight truly is 2020 because I truly should have not been afraid to cutting the harness down. The harness that came from our guys at DIY Auto Tune, the harness was perfect, immaculate condition, and I didn't want to cut any or shorten it, and that was my mistake. I should have done that, but it's all right. We used what we had and we made it look nice and neat. So I'm gonna show you guys what we have, not go over so much of exact wiring, but what happened, what it took, and different things like that. So here it is, guys. Here is the wiring mess, and it looks a little bit worse than what it is, but it's really not bad. This is the quad spark. This is what's used to fire all of my coil-on plugs here. As you can see, I finally did that conversion after hoarding so much parts. But we have the harness that goes, kind of wraps around because I've got too much crap going on, and the connector is inside of there to make it look somewhat better. I've also got plenty of other things as far as my wideband that connects directly into the microsquirt. I've got all my different wires labeled and stuff, so it's not the prettiest of things, but you know what? It serves its purpose. So we got a lot of that wiring and stuff like that done, and I thought that everything was good to go. So I put everything inside of the car and we tried to start it, and it wouldn't start. Don't know what was happening. It was backfiring, it was popping, it sounded like it was 180 out, but there was no distributor on this car. I didn't know what was going on. So over the course of 2 weeks, I went back and forth emailing DIY Auto-Tune with Matt Kramer, and he was able to help me and see what was going on, finding out exactly what the computer was seeing. It wasn't seeing a tooth, it was seeing too many teeth here, and I had to make some changes. Now, you would have thought that it would have taken this novice several different changes. Surprisingly, it was flipping one set of wires. Flip one set of wires and the car fired up. You guys saw that footage. Let's roll it again.
Let's go! On the standalone. Let's go.
Again, guys, that was another glorious, exciting, emotional day to be able to fire it up. And you guys peeped it in the comment section that it wasn't running the best. Obviously, it wasn't running all that good. So then we had to figure out, why is this thing not running right? What is going on here? And there's also a little dial that's saying this lost sync is rising. What is this all about? So we had to go ahead and start going further and digging into the car. I pulled the plugs out, and what did I find? I found 3 out of 4 cylinders completely coated in oil, guys. How is it gonna run when it's coated in oil? So I said, I just did the valve covers, but apparently the little donuts that go over the tube that stops the oil from growing in, those apparently either weren't installed properly from me, okay, or they just were a crappy quality. I don't know, but I took some fippage and I just went around the inside of the spark plug tube to seal them off. And guess what? No more oil whatsoever. So those plugs, I cleaned them up, I gapped them properly, we threw them back in, and it fired up a little bit better. But then when I'd get on the gas, it still break up and misfire. And then we had to just go even further into understanding what's going on. Why is this car running as if it's on a rev limiter, if it's on a 2-step, and I'm barely even getting any power. So we had to go back to the drawing board again. And when I say we, I mean me, I mean the forums, I mean good friends, and one good friend in particular. And that one good friend that I'm gonna put on blast is Nathan Hoover. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where I was getting a loss of sync, but this loss of sync was giving me massive power loss, not allowed to really drive this car or move this car or do anything whatsoever. So he reached out to me and he just put his mind to it and he just grinded on it. And then he came up with the conclusion that there's something going on with the sync and with the teeth. Once it's showing too many, what's going on? It's a 62 teeth for the crank, and that tells your engine where it's at and when to fire and all the most important and basic things. And I was constantly losing sync. And what it came down to was a 10K resistor that had to be put in line between the 2 crank wires, because the sensors that's used on these BMWs are VR. And because of that, you could have an issue because of those sensors, how many teeth it is, and microsquirt, even though there's a VR conditioner. Now, we can go down the rabbit hole, guys, of what all that means and all of that, but I really don't want to get into that today, maybe into another video. But either way, he told me that's what it was, and I confirmed it with the forums and went back and forth with multiple different people doing a ton of research. And I said, well, you know what do I have to lose? So I ordered it off of Amazon, and they're so cheap that you can order 100 for like $5. So I literally have 99 more. So if anybody need any 10K resistors, let me know, comment section below, I'll send them to you. I don't need them. I put one in line of the 2 VR crank wires, and guess what? No more loss of sync. No more. It runs. It fires up. It actually tries to do what an engine in a car is supposed to do, which is run. And it sounds pretty good, if I must say, but I'm not gonna fire it up today. Gotta tease you just a tad bit. Now, I know what you guys are saying. You guys are saying, you're telling this whole long and drawn out story for what, Adam? Why are you telling me this long and drawn out story? Basically, I'm here to tell you that your boy actually took it for a drive, and it was slow. It was extremely slow. This is weeks and weeks at a time. I'm not knowing what I'm doing, learning different settings, going back and forth with forums. So right now I am in the process of trying to learn how to and tune the car. Now, I can have somebody remote tune the car for me, but it's gonna cost 300 bucks, at least 300 bucks. And basically, I'm giving them the money and hoping that they don't shaft me on it. So, not something that I love so much, and I need to get it tuned, but tuning isn't cheap. In my area, it's roughly $200 per hour, at least. Will it be an hour? More than likely not. Will it be 2 hours? Maybe, but your chances are still slim. You're looking at 3 or 4 hours to properly tune a car. These tune days is not for the poor, okay? It's not for those that's trying to keep a budget in line like I am trying to do. But anyway, that's what we are currently working on at this moment. Right now, I've got the car able to idle when it's cold. Under warm-up enrichment, I have the car able to idle and it sounds good and it sits there. But once my temperatures go from dead cold to 160, after 160, warm-up enrichment cuts off and the car falls on its face, it dies, and I don't know what is causing it, what is making it do that. I just know that table is no longer being used after a certain temperature of the engine. And honestly, guys, I just replaced the starter in this bad boy just this week because I burnt up the starter trying to get it to fire up when it's warm, and that's the problem that I'm at now. It's making me not want to drive the car far because if the car stalls out, I won't be able to get it to fire up until it cools down. And I love my car and I don't want to keep it on the side of the road, so that's what we are at. Now, we've also got a couple different other things going on with it that we're going to have to address. Wheels and tires, I've somehow, some way fallen out of love with them. That might be news to you guys because I truly loved it, but I think I want to bring this back down and I can take this brainchild of an idea and put it on the vehicle that you guys are sitting on. I even have a spare engine to do an engine swap if I so choose. If you guys want to know the engine, we might have to save that as well for yet another video, guys. But I was making this video just to let you guys know of the progress that is being made on the BMW. Progress is being made. I haven't forgotten about you guys. It's just not a lot of time. And when you mix not a lot of time with being very budget conscious, and I can throw money at the problem to fix it. I can, and I have the money to throw at it. But do I want to? That's the issue that we're at. I don't want to do that anyway, guys. But we're going to try and get back on some kind of an upload schedule to let you guys know what's going on. We'll go in depth with the other parts of the car that I need to work on as well. But you know what? I think that is actually going to be it for today, guys. I will catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I know it was a lot of talking, but if you didn't enjoy it, give it a thumbs down. This is just a progress report on what's going on with it. If you're new, please consider subscribing. Subscribing really helps me. During this time that I wasn't uploading a lot, just seeing the subscribers, the comments, the likes continue to flow gave me motivation to keep grinding on this car because BMWs are notorious, guys. It is notorious for beating the life and the joy and the love of cars out of you. But I am still here, I'm still standing, and we're gonna get this car to do massive burnouts and pulls and everything else, and I can't wait to do it. That's a mouthful. You guys have a nice day. Peace.